What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well today. Today we're going to try something new. Very new and interesting. We're doing a photography time-lapse while I talk about photography. And for those of you who are interested in photography, whether that's you're thinking of picking up a camera, thinking of doing something taking pictures, or you have become a photographer already and you're looking for places to start, this will be a good video for you. I'll talk about my experience as a photographer, as well as offer some tips and tricks at the very end. So stick around for that. Let's hop right into it. So growing up, I've always been surrounded by photography. I mean, my dad, my brother, grandpa, uncles love it and take pictures all the time. Every now and then, my dad actually goes on a photography trip where he goes out with friends. I think last time they went to Rome just to take pictures. That's so cool. I want to do that someday. Yeah, photography's just been a part of my life. For my 12th birthday, I remember this clear as day. I got one box as a present from my dad, and I ripped that bad boy open, and it's a camera, a DSLR camera, Canon. I think it's the Canon Rebel E5, T5, something. It was a good intro camera, really good intro camera. Bro, I went crazy over that camera. I was so freaking excited. I can't even explain how happy I was. It was probably among one of the best days of my life. Before that, I was using my phone camera on the 4, which, I mean, for 12-year-olds, a camera's a camera. But getting, like, a legitimate camera, fantastic experience. It was everything I had dreamed about and more. I remember I was running all over my backyard. We had a couple friends over, and I did a mini photo shoot with them. The pictures came out awful. Utterly terrible. Just disgusting pictures. I'm not proud of them, but let me tell you, that photo shoot was so much fun, and I can remember it still. With any hobby, there's going to be some awkward stages where you get the hang of it. I mean, like I said, the photo shoot that I had just done, utterly terrible, trash photography. I feel really bad for my models because they weren't flattering pictures, not in the slightest. There's awkward stages to any hobby that you're gonna pick up, and I think I was in those awkward stages for probably about 2 years. I was in these awkward stages, but then finally, I started figuring it out. I'd really been doing landscape photography up to that point. I loved taking pictures of flowers. Flowers were my favorite, and they still are. I love taking pictures of, like, small macro, not macro. Is it macro? I don't know. But small pictures of, like, flowers and stuff. I'd really started to hit my stride. Did a lot of playing around with the settings and whatnot. Finally figured out how to work them. And we went to Utah for a vacation. We were visiting some family. We were doing some other stuff up there. But I brought my camera and took some pictures of the mountains and nature, because Utah's really pretty. If you've never been there, someday you need to go to Utah. It's gorgeous up there, especially if you like mountains. But I mean, this once again, this is coming from someone who lives in Arizona, and there is no nature, nothing here. So take what I say with a grain of salt. But I started taking, like, really good pictures, and I'm really proud of those. But from there, I started getting more interested in less of landscape and more of portrait photography, and that kind of leads up to where I am today. I think I like portrait photography more than I do nature. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love nature photography. It's wonderful. So probably about a year and 2 months ago, I don't know, my brother left on a church mission, and he has the Canon 6D Mark II, I believe. And so I sort of inherited that because he couldn't take it with him. Let me tell you, that was a huge step up in photography. Holy cow. The quality was so much better. It's a full frame sensor, a lot more megapixels. I forget how many. I want to say like 24 or something. But it was a much bigger step up from what I previously was using. I was doing so much better with it because I already knew how to work all the settings. Well, most of the settings. I'm being generous. But I had already figured out how to work with the settings a lot better. And so it was a lot easier transition. Had I not had that experience of messing around with the settings, it would not have turned out well. But I did, so that's cool. I worked around with this camera for quite a while, but then my brother sends an email home saying, "Hey, it's okay if I have my camera. Send it up, please." So we sent up the camera a couple months ago, and we decided to go on a photo trip. But I didn't want to take the E5 because I had been spoiled on the 6D. And so my grandpa lent me his camera. I think it's the Canon 5DS for those who are wondering. And oh my gosh, he's so nice. He's too nice. I honestly probably shouldn't have been using that camera. It's much nicer than I care to admit. It was absolutely fantastic. It was a treat to use that. And that's actually the pictures that I'm editing right now that you're watching was the camera that I was using. Turned out really well in my opinion. I'm really happy with how these turned out. 3 in particular, but I'm too lazy to point them out, so I won't. This was in White Pockets. I think it's in Arizona. It's north of Flagstaff. I might be just making things up, but White Pockets, absolutely gorgeous place. Would go back there again. I really like taking pictures here. The only downside was it was so hot when we went. It was in July, I think, and oh my gosh, it was so bad. But I'll talk about that more another time. So up until this point, I've been doing a lot of landscape, and nature has been my main focus of photography. Pun not intended. But I really want to move forward with portrait photography. Oh, excuse me. I think that's my calling as of right now, and I signed up for a couple classes to get better with that sort of thing. In school, you can take an elective for digital photography. Super excited to do that. I'm good at photography, I'd like to think. But there's definitely so much more that I can do to get better. I mean, the other day, my dad taught me 3 new things that I never knew how to do in editing. This is the part of the video where I tell you tips, right? Yeah, that's what my script is telling me. If you're just picking up a camera for the first time and you want to get into photography, that is awesome. If you're thinking about it, definitely go for it if you like taking pictures and like to get better at it. I mean, you don't need a fancy camera to take good pictures. It's all about your imagination. Editing is really important, but the most important thing is finding a good picture to take. Let me explain it this way. You can get a good picture that's unedited and looks amazing, but you can't take a bad picture and edit it to look great, if that makes sense. So, I mean, if you can work on like taking good pictures and looking out for good picture spots, I mean, you're already a photographer. My best tip to you would be find someone who is good at photography that you know, whether that's in person or on YouTube, or find a good podcast. Just find someone who you like their pictures that they take and listen to them. Like, watch their stuff if it's online. Ask them questions if it's in person. I mean, I'm fortunate that a lot of people in my family were into photography, so I could just bug them with so many questions. Just annoy the crap out of them, asking about advice, questions, talk about lighting and the settings that they use, just as much as you can to learn more about how they do what they do. And that'll take you really far. But that's going to be about it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about it, I'd love to answer them. Just drop it down below in the comments section. Take care. Thank you guys so much for watching, and catch you in the next one. Stay frosty.